let it drop. Let it drop.
Hello and welcome back to From Change to Change. I am Consuela Sway Gaines and I have my wonderful colleague,
Dr. Matthew Green, vote member here in Lafayette.
Yes.
So good to see you again.
It's good to be seen.
Yes, yes it is. You know, it hasn't been that long since we've seen each other, but a lot has happened.
Too much has happened.
Too much.
And a lot of it is unfortunately disappointing.
It is, but Louisiana yet again finds itself at the center of a fight for justice.
Always. Redistricting, that is the hot topic in Louisiana, probably across the country, but mostly
It's
in the
happening
South.
everywhere.
The redistricting, our folks have been back and forth to the state capitol in Baton Rouge. It's been some heated committee hearings.
And to catch people up at home who may not be familiar with what we're referring to, so the Supreme Court recently ruled in Calais versus Louisiana that Louisiana, which is the second blackest state in the United States, 33% of the population is black.
Yes.
And Louisiana legislature created congressional maps so that there would be proportional representation for the black community, and the Supreme Court struck those maps down in Calais versus Louisiana. So they've been trying to redistrict and rework it, but also gerrymander it at the same time.
It's most definitely not a fair map, and the bill, 121, it just passed, with flying colors.
Yep.
And it's not looking good for the home team, but we continue to fight.
Yes.
I mean, we come from fighters and we're going to continue to fight. And our folks who were at the Capitol, we got some footage of that to share with you guys.
We can't live in a society and coexist without equal justice and equal rights.
The U.S. Supreme Court pretty much struck down the whole Voting Rights Act, which a lot of people fought and died for, to create some fairness and equality in this country.
There are people in these rooms in the backdoor politics that are trying to silence our voice. And if they continue to silence our voices, we won't have a voice to speak out on.
There's no secret that President Trump has made it known that he needs all the House seats that he can get to maintain control.
This is for an audience of one in Washington, D.C., trying to protect his vulnerabilities in the midterms.
In our state, white people's voices have historically counted for a disproportionate amount. Unfortunately, this Senate bill continues that white supremacist effect.
That's what voter suppression is about, going out of their way to eliminate black representation and black voting power.
Because they have the numbers and because they have the power, they are drawing a 5-in-1 map in order to basically steal a seat in the midterm elections in the U.S. House.
There are 6 congressional seats here in Louisiana. He wants 5 of them.
Louisiana is 1/3 African American, and 1/3 of the African American population equals 2 seats. And I'm here to fight for 2 seats.
It's the same playbook that we saw post-Reconstruction when you saw an increase in black representation. Now this is a direct effort to undermine that representation.
Where are you going to get quality representation from a gerrymandered district in which your congressperson might live 100 miles away and has never driven on your roads, doesn't send his kids to your schools?
They're out of bounds and don't want to listen. All they want to do is dictate.
What they're doing is they're blatantly spitting in our face.
These votes and what they do in these halls all impact you.
Your vote count for something. That's why they always attack it.
We're not happy with anything less than a fair map that gives every Louisiana voter, especially voters of color, a fair shot at representation in Congress.
We came up with a whole strategy. Part of the strategy is to talk to them. If that don't work, then we take it out in the streets. If that don't work, we take it to the courts.
And the moral of the story is, we need fair maps here in Louisiana. I want to let the legislator, I want to let Jeff Landry and President Donald Trump know that the youth are watching. And we will organize, mobilize, and make sure that every voice is heard, no matter their race, the color of their skin, or any ethnicity where they come from.
Rather than have a district that's focused on Baton Rouge and make that a citywide and expansion to the suburbs of Baton Rouge district, they've carved it up to create this sort of white loop around Baton Rouge that creates this large gerrymandered horseshoe that makes a white majority district. So it is not objectively fair. It's not normal for people to think about why do we not have a Baton Rouge district, let's say in a New Orleans district? Why are we trying to merge them together? What people that live in communities need to understand is they need folks that are working for them, whether it be around disaster relief, whether it be around your mortgage, your student loans, your health care, the foreclosure crisis that's about to come on the next storm when everybody loses all sorts of things and there's no federal relief that comes through. We have a lot of issues here in Louisiana. We can't just be an incarceration state and an oil and gas state. Otherwise, we're just gonna be an industrial wasteland. And so what we need is people that represent the interests of working class people, not the interests of multinational corporations. So VOTE is an organization that was created really to be looking at the policies around the criminal justice system. And we know that policies are made in this building, and we know that policies are also made in DC. And for us to have fair policies, for us to have a chance at figuring out things that work for everybody, we need to have fair politicians that do the representing. We need to have honest and open and transparent debates. And so we come here to do, at times, a little bit of digging. We come with like some legal work, we come with some historical work, and we share, different points of view. And we try to make sure that the people are represented in the conversations that happen here. The cool thing today is there's all sorts of people from all across the state that have been coming to this redistricting hearing because they understand that it's trying to go back to another Jim Crow era. And we're not the only ones, whereas sometimes we feel like the only ones that are coming up here and putting in that kind of work.
I had been incarcerated for a very long time. I believe in righteousness. I believe in fairness. They're not respecting our vote. That's the respect that they have for us. Zero. We don't have kings and queens. We have voters. We have rights. And so I became a member of VOTE because of reasons like that. It all started with the ASCP, Angola Special Civic Project, with Norris Henderson, Chico Yancey as our leaders. We all worked in the law library. I worked on death row. We were in it because it not only helped change your life and the way you think, but I was in it because I wanted to be a part of that help. They stand out for everybody. And the people individually that backs them up are standing up for what is right. Let your voice be heard.
If somebody slams your hand in the door, if you don't say anything, they'll think it's all right. So they're trying to slam our hand in the door. We're here to tell them it's not okay. We have a national playbook for all of this, right? We're saying, look, if you don't act right, we got something for you. We come in with a whole strategy. Part of the strategy is to talk to them. If that don't work, then we take it out in the streets. If that don't work, we take it to the courts. We all need to vote, black, white, Protestant, Catholic, Jews, and Gentiles. There's a whole lot of stuff that we have in common. Like we all want good schools, we all want good health and access to good health care. We all want lower prices in food. We all want lower price in gas. We want to live in a safe environment. That's something we all can agree on. We know what this state needs. It needs the piano players. It needs the black keys and the white keys playing together so that everybody in the state of Louisiana can thrive.
Representation should be reflective of the people's will, not politicians' preferences. And obviously gerrymandering is a long-standing tradition in this country, but what we're doing here in Louisiana is gerrymandering on steroids. We are trying to advance a national agenda here locally, and it's coming at the expense of local representation. There's all sorts of anger and passion around what's happening here at the Capitol, and it's always the case. If there's a minimum wage bill, if there's an anti-labor bill, everybody wants the folks here in these hallways and in these rooms to fight against them. But what we're dealing with is the result of apathy during elections. If you want the minimum wage raised, then elect people during the elections that want to raise the minimum wage. If you want fair maps, then elect people during the elections that believe in fair representation. Because once we're here, we're dealing with the aftermath of that. And many of these people, they campaigned on doing exactly what they're doing right now. And so you can't be surprised when they do exactly what they campaigned on. If you want a better government, that happens during election season. That doesn't happen after the fact. You know, this is not informed by local interests. This is all for a national audience. And that's what I think makes it so tragic, is that, you know, people are going to lose their representation, they're going to lose quality governance, and it's not for anything that they asked for.
They are trying to present and preserve power, and not for the people, for their own self-interest. And look, there's going to be long-term effects by this. I think that they will see some negative impact that they are not anticipating, but that is basically what's happening. It's a national trend led by the president and unfortunately being carried out by the southern states. We do not want to go backwards. We do not want to reduce or dilute our vote. Myself, with my colleagues, are not satisfied. The people are not satisfied. All politicians are not the same. I think that you have people that are really here not only for power, but for truly for the people. And I think the only way we really affect change is to hit them where we are the most powerful, and that is at the ballot box. Your individual vote is the most powerful tool you will ever have. I say this till I'm blue in the face. If it was not a powerful tool, they would not be trying to take it away from us. So please, anytime that there's an election, please go out and vote, cast your ballot for your representation, because right now, the people that you elect are the people that are both fighting for fair maps, but they also, unfortunately, are people that are fighting against fairness and fair representation.
Senate Bill 121, the bill that reduces representation for blacks throughout this state, is up in the House today. We have to speak out against these maps that try to diminish our representation. It just can't happen in the halls of the legislature. We have to vote. We have to litigate, we have to organize, we have to educate our communities on the importance of this, and we have to continue in this fight. This will not be an easy battle. They want to discourage people, they want to confuse people. We've overcome challenges like this in the past, and we're going to overcome it again. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be working so hard to take it away.
Well, the crazy thing about here in Louisiana now is because there is a one-party rule between a supermajority in the legislature, who they have in the governor's office, the attorney general's office, the secretary of state's office, who they have in Congress. They have several of the most powerful members of Congress from Louisiana. So in a way, they can take any idea, they can pass a law, they can even get a constitutional amendment to be put on the ballot. They can get the governor to support it, and if the people fight against it, it can go to court, and it can battle its way through courts that are full of people who are supporters of this ideology, and go all the way up to the US Supreme Court. So whether it be 10 Commandments or the Voting Rights Act, a lot of things are flowing from Louisiana up through the country, and we pose the chance of like changing our political structure, our constitutional structure, for a long time. And so the battles that are happening here, the issues and ideas that are being debated here, do have national implications, because as we just saw with the voting rights case, the US Supreme Court pretty much struck down the whole Voting Rights Act, which a lot of people fought and died for to create some fairness and equality in this country. Vote was spawned out of the hearts and minds of individuals who were jailhouse lawyers on the inside. So on the one hand, you're fighting for justice through the court system. And on the other hand, you have a lot of time to contemplate what justice really means. And there's a personal component as well, because whether it be you yourself or people close to you, maybe you've committed an injustice. But then how do you restore that in the community writ large? How do you restore that in your family? And you know, we're thinking about things through this mindset of being elders in the community. And when you're an elder in the community, you've got to be accountable to everyone in the community, because everyone is part of your community. And so let's say, for argument, if you have a grandparent who has like 40, 50 grandkids spread out, and one of them harms another one, well, your version of justice is to try to do justice to all parties included. And there may be a chance for restoration or rehabilitation or reassimilation after a time of punishment. So we put in a lot of time and energy thinking about these issues because we've lived them and we lived within them. And a lot of people it's hard enough to get food on the table for the kids and get them to bed and, wake up all over and go to work. So we had some time in our hands to do some reading, do some thinking, do some conversing. And we definitely feel like the people who have held us accountable, for which those of us who are out have done our time, we feel like everybody should be held accountable. And people in this building should be held accountable to the highest standards. At certain points in history, there's a flashpoint. There's a catalyzing moment. There's something that brings us together where we either say collectively yes or collectively no. And what's happening right now with this redistricting battle, with other bills that took away the clerkship, and other bills that get rid of judgeships, this attempt to really rewrite our democracy in a negative way, what it's doing is it's bringing people together to say, I'm not down with that. And so what I want to come out of this is more organizing, more connective tissue, more people reaching out to other people, because if we don't activate just a lot of regular folks who don't necessarily have time for politics, if we can't get them to join the collective no, then there's not going to be enough of us. But this is a real opportunity to really bring people together and educate each other. Well, we know that half the people who register to vote just don't vote. So for starters, there's people who have the opportunity to do a really small, modest piece of democracy and civic engagement, and yet choose not to. For a variety of reasons. I think a lot of them are cynical and believe, what's the point? What's the difference between this party and that party? What's different? All these politicians lie to us, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of good reasons for people to feel that way. And it's hard to convince people to say, just suspend that belief for a minute and come out here and vote with us. Here, let me tell you a little something about, A and B, and then you can decide between A and B. And so we need more of that. But we also need people to step into civic life. I'm looking at several elected officials behind you and one candidate. And these are people who, some years ago in their life who just saw themselves maybe as regular folks, maybe they cared. It's at what point you have to make the decision of I'm going to run for office. I'm going to be the person who is going to be at the debate table and argue on behalf of the people. I'm going to be one that's going to help write these rules in a way that's fair. And it's, it's a stressful game, I think, to get into politics and to be whether a candidate or get elected. But in a way, we need good people to make those choices and bring a strong heart and a strong moral character to the game and play it well.
And also there was continued conversation. Our last monthly gathering, we focused on redistricting.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of like the hot topic. It's what everyone is talking about, what everyone is trying to grasp and understand what's happening. Are we losing our rights to vote? What is it all about? And so I didn't have a camera crew, but I did have my cell phone, and I was able to capture some video footage of our guest speakers, who were Dr. Chris Williams. We also had Ravis Martinez and Wilfred Johnson out of New Iberia, and they gave some really, really powerful information on redistricting. Check it out.
I'm gonna go straight down party lines. So the whole chaos of all that is happening under this administration speaks, in my mind, and I want to look, all that's going on, the $1.8 billion yesterday, the whole immigration deal, whether or not this administration is going to listen to the courts, all led up to the redistricting battle. And the battle that we're having now, as I indicated earlier, in my mind, is something that goes back to Reconstruction type of public policy making, right? And so it's obvious what's being done. I think somebody mentioned, Ken, when you mentioned, somebody mentioned today what race was mentioned. It was a softball discussion between Jay Morris and then the Speaker Pro Tem, and race was mentioned. That race wasn't effective, Richard, 53 times. So it's a game that's being played. It's a very dangerous game because it's affecting a whole nother generation of people. As Angel said, there was some young people today. There's 2 or 3 people that have gone mega viral on social media. I don't know if y'all saw the guy with Byrne. Yeah, Marshawn. Yeah, he was there today. And that addressed our good friend Blake Miguez from Liberia. And so I guess I'll close with my comments about the redistricting piece. Is that it's been coming for a minute, but Trump has brought it to a whole nother place. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this shakes out between now and October, I would guess, when we'll see how the states and the maps end up looking like after the time runs out for the November election. I will agree with, there was a gentleman on CNN last week that said that Democrats need to kind of put their, they just need to toughen up, basically. They were saying they really need to match the energy because they can't play nice. They have to be more aggressive in what it is that they're doing. And if they do not be more aggressive what they're doing, they're going to lose in November. Because I heard the number 19, Ravens may know the number. I heard the number 6, they're trying to get 19. One of you may know the number, but they have a plan. And they're doing everything they can to implement that plan. And so today's deal was about testifying. Again, we ran out of time. We ran out of time the last time. I think you were about to come up, calling our names all the way back home. People were telling me they're calling you up there. I told them, do not call my name. I'm leaving.
We only knew the bus was leaving because Sally said,
yes.
my bus is leaving.
Yeah. So they let Sally go up there. And so we just wanted to, we wanted to be on the record because even though we know how the vote is going to go, we're not going to let them do this evil work in silence, right? So we're going to allow the strength of our beliefs to be put on the record. And that was what's done today. It's not because the lawsuits will be filed. So the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, ACLU, Southern Poverty Law Center will be filing suit immediately after the governor signs this bill.
I guess I'll add some comments on the redistricting piece. When you look at this issue from a broader lens, not just Louisiana, you see the strategy, and then you compare Louisiana, we're faring well compared to other places that are literally going to zero. Our fight isn't over. Like Chris stated, they're going to go down all the way down to the city levels on these district lines. They're going to really go all the way school board levels. This is judges. We're seeing some of that now. But the central question is, can a state with a large black population draw fair lines for representation? That's a central question that we're seeing all across the country. Chris talked about the legal part and how organizations, advocacy organizations, NAACP, Legal Defense Fund, and others are taking that to the courts and challenging on various issues. There's various lawsuits right now in the state on Jeff's actions, on the court's actions, voters being disenfranchised to even candidates. I guess I want to spend a little time talking about what we should be doing or how we can try to mobilize a little bit better to the first thing is ring the alarm. I'd like to tell people we are at war. This is war. If you're not looking at it like through that lens, then we're doing this wrong. Ultimately, when we're talking about generational effects, there's nothing more detrimental to us than having the right to vote, but that vote being basically meaningless. Because these district lines, these changes are not going to stop me or anybody from actually voting. It's just going to say that your vote has no voice in itself.
So now what we have to do, and I ain't going to say be the enemy, but we have to think like the enemy, because in my space, I'm like this here. I'm like, okay, God, I understand where I am today. I know where I would hope to be tomorrow, but I'm hunted by yesterday. I'm constantly carrying the weight of yesterday with me as I move around today, but still having hope for tomorrow. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle for even a man of my stature, because I believe that I'm a pretty decent guy. Y'all think so? Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, when I think about all of that, and how much not only but people like yourself are carrying every day. So we have to see these kids now. Okay, so let's look at the kids and where they are, because so many things that happened in the past that has showed them that their vote didn't matter. Y'all remember when Hillary Clinton ran? She had the popular vote by so many million because she didn't get the delegate vote. She did not move forward. You don't think they know about that? You don't think they heard about that? And all the other things that goes with it. So I think where we are right now, this is where we need to be. So this space that has been created is a space that needs to be created abroad. We need to have these conversations, and we need to be real about everything that is going on, before we can't water it down, because they planned this many years ago. That's right. Many years ago, and they just kept pulling and pulling at the rug until they didn't almost pulled it from under us. And right now, all we got left is to fight. So again, I think what that says, because Dr. Chris and I, we're always talking about these issues, especially, going, and you said it as well, my brother, but going up to the Capitol, knowing that they are at a supermajority, that, evidently what they want is going to pass. And I said this, again, on the van as well, that Senator Morris, the author of Senate Bill 121, he kept telling us who he was. Okay, he kept saying that, that this is why I'm doing this. It's because I want my beliefs to have power over your beliefs.
They've been out here plotting and planning and strategizing for years. So they're already understanding what's next. They really have the playbook on what our responses are going to be. And so we need to, again, think differently. One of the first things I stated when this whole thing dropped is that we need to do the one thing that we can do now without any other action, is to vote. I know that sounds very cliche, but if we would vote in such a way, in a manner that it would just change the trajectory of everything. They would literally cease everything in one election cycle if we really took the efforts to mobilize folks to really get to the polls around these issues. We're good on saying no and being reactive in a sense, but really having a proactive plan to get folks there and change those numbers. That's the only thing how we're going to affect this true change.
All right, so we truly hope that you enjoyed that, because as you can see, a lot is going on and there are so many ways for you to get involved. One way being attending our monthly gatherings right here in Lafayette at Trendy Spaces, located at 102 Carmel Drive. We meet every third Thursday of the month from 6 to 8 p.m. and we always have a good meal, so do come and enjoy.
And if you are not able to make the meetings, make sure to sign up for the Vote newsletter. You can stay in touch on social media and email, and it's also a great way to stay engaged because so many action alerts come through email, through text message that allow you to engage, send letters to your legislators, your senators, your representatives, and stay engaged that way, even if you're not able to come connect at that monthly meeting.
Yes, yes. And always remember that your vote is your power. Stay engaged, and we'll see you next time.